I've got you.
Hey, John. What you doing?
Come on in. I've got them on the run. These Chinese guys are tricky. I should do it. Let's see what that does.
That's a Pages document, John.
I'm writing code. See, shell code stuff for Panda execute right there. Got it.
You literally just wrote shellcode stuff for Panda execute.
It's just part of it. I got a lot going on here, man. I got a lot going on. If you don't know what's going on, just take a seat.
Well, all right. Well, let's take a
Daddy
look.
will show you how to do it.
So you have a Matrix desktop background open on a television. You have a Pages document open that you've just been pounding keys on.
This I don't actually even see the code anymore. I just see blonde, brunette, redhead. It's
and you somehow managed to cause a catastrophic failure on a Windows box without even using it.
This is just part of it. This is it's lots of zeros and E's, and it's complex. You just don't understand the internet, Troy. Hey guys, what's happening? I'm back with Troy. Troy has helped us out before doing some cyber security things that you do on the internet machine with Google.
Stuffings.
Yes, absolutely. So anyway, thanks for suffering through our ridiculously corny intro, which took us like 1,000 takes because we did a terrible job. We'll show some outtakes at the end of this video. Anyway, I've got Troy back. Troy, by trade, is a professional hacker, which he doesn't like that term, but as an idiot who doesn't know any better, that's the best way I describe it. There's a bunch of scary folks out there committing all kinds of cyber crimes, and then there's guys, white hats out there, who are trying to do some good stuff to protect us, right?
Hopefully so, yeah.
Well, thanks, man.
Thanks. You.
Anyway,
welcome.
so anyway, he's a warrior poet fighting a very different type of war, but he's here today to help you guys out, help me out as well, of how we can stay safe online and just some general tips like that. So, Troy, what do you got for us?
Well, so John had asked me to talk to you a little bit about what the layperson can do to protect themselves online. You know, you posed that question in our last video too. I kind of gave some basic stuff, and I think there's some more pointed things that people can do too that seem to get a lot of we seem to get a lot of requests in the comments for. So I'll give you a great example of one thing that recently came out. Was there was a well-known piece of software that is freely available. Anyone can download it. It's widely used, and hackers attacked the developer of that software and planted a backdoor into an update that then infected millions of people.
And you're not allowed to say what that was. It's okay if you don't.
I don't want to. I don't know if this is widely known, but good. But it's probably by the time this gets posted, it'll probably be out.
What can the common man, because like that of like, great, some big company got hacked, but
how do you stop that? Yeah,
I've got my little computer with my matrix code back here.
Yeah.
What do I do?
So for something like that, you can't stop that outright. But what we do recommend is reducing what we call your attack surface.
Great. Which
means only have the software on your system or your PC or your laptop that you need. Don't put software on there that you don't need. You know that the audio codec that you installed once to play that one movie, or maybe you wanted to rip a DVD and you used it one time. That thing might be updating in the background and getting one of these malicious updates.
Gotcha.
So, and this is a general principle of cybersecurity in general, is to limit the amount of software you have, period.
Okay.
So reduce the attack surface. That gives us less opportunities to attack you. That's one. That's a big one that jumps into mind out of the news.
Don't download stupid stuff and stuff you don't need.
Don't go to stupid websites.
Okay.
I mean, you can. I mean, I mentioned it last time too. You can get owned just by going to the wrong website.
I just land on the site and it's done. I don't have to download. I don't have to do anything. It's just done.
Yes, just visiting the wrong site, or even the right site in some cases. There's ways that we can do that too, but. I don't. Again.
So and this is frustrating for me. So just hanging out with Troy over time, he's just telling me all the ways that he can just like destroy me. So he's like, I can send you a text message that you don't even have to open, and I can take over your phone, and I won't know that you did.
Yeah,
awesome. And then I've got my new MacBook Pro, and as I popped it out as like a dude doesn't know anything about. I'm like, look, my MacBook Pro, and I opened it like I deserved a round of applause for it, and he was very unimpressed. Jerk. It costs a lot of money, man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, wait, check this out, and it turns on with my fingerprint. And he's like, I can hack that with a gummy bear. I'm like, with a
We call it the gummy bear attack.
Yeah, I get that, because the gummy bears.
You actually,
yeah, I get it, but
it's an actual gummy
all
bear.
the brilliantly idiotic ways that I could be taken down.
You know, but that's a really good point though. Is a lot of people think that being a sophisticated hacker. I mean, there are sophisticated hackers out there. Make no mistake. But most of the time, what causes something to collapse or something to break, someone's able to get into something is something as simple as that.
Okay.
Oftentimes, it is the human element that is the weakest link.
Gotcha. What about downloading virus programs or malware programs? What comes with your computer? Do I need to upgrade that? VPNs, Tor, the whole get. What's kind of the basic essentials that a nobody like me can get to have some heightened security?
So within cybersecurity circles, when nobody's around and we're having conversations at the bar after work over a beer, we all laugh at antivirus programs because they're pretty much useless, which is not entirely true. It's good from a hygienic standpoint, but there are caveats to be aware of. You should have antivirus. If you're not in the profession, you don't know what to look for on your PC to know if it's infected or not, you really should run antivirus as just sort of a basic preventative measure. That being said, recently, and I'm talking in the past few weeks, news has broken about Kaspersky. I'm not afraid to name them. They were my favorite antivirus software. If you had to pick one, I normally would say Kaspersky. They recently had some evidence uncovered that linked them to a Russian government program, which is now calling into question whether or not they're actually a wing of the Russian government. I don't know if that evidence is conclusive or not. You know, be your own judge. But it doesn't look good. So needless to say, I can no longer recommend Kaspersky.
I wrote some shell code.
Well, Kaspersky's not going to catch that. It's way too sophisticated for that.
All right, what else? So
it's Putin. He's actually watching you.
Fantastic. He have better things to do than watch me. It's like, John going for solitaire game number 4.
Well, he texts me when he sees you do that.
All right, what else? So there's that program. What are some other programs that are good? Ish.
So my favorite one is actually a website called Virus Total. Okay. VirusTotal.com. You can go to.
I'm going to put it in the description below, and anything else we kind of mentioned in this video that you're interested in. So
what VirusTotal is, it's a website where you can submit binaries, so executables, anything that you download off the internet that you're not 100% sure of, you can upload it to VirusTotal, and it'll run it through all of the major antivirus programs and tell you if it got any hits. Right. And it'll give you a confidence score of whether or not this thing is malicious or not. And this is important. It's a confidence score. It's not a yes or no. There's no such thing. I'm 80% confident that this is not infected, which doesn't mean that it's not infected. It just means that if it is infected, it's sophisticated enough to bypass all of the major antivirus vendors out there. Yeah.
Like Norton, McAfee, those things.
They're all pretty much Me Too's. Kaspersky was the most sophisticated out of the bunch. At this point, I would say pick one. Anything is better than nothing.
Okay.
But VirusTotal is my favorite. That's my go-to. Right. It's always been my go-to. But that again, it's a manual thing. It's not going to interrupt you when you're surfing online and saying, "Hey, this is malicious." You have to interact with it directly.
What about something like a VPN?
So VPNs are popular. There's some caveats to those. There's pros and cons to those too. Private internet access is a big one. I've used private internet access before myself. The thing about those is they still have records of you unless you're paying with Bitcoin from an anonymous email address.
You mean the VPN has record of you?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the VPN is protecting you. So for those who don't know what a VPN is, stands for Virtual Private Network. It's sort of an encrypted tunnel between your computer and some other computer out on the internet that anonymizes your traffic. It can be traced back to you if the point of exit, so wherever the vendor that you select that you choose to be your VPN provider, wherever your traffic exits onto the internet, that could be intercepted. Okay. Unless you're using something like Tor. So if you're really paranoid, you would run Tor on top of a VPN.
Gotcha. Okay.
And even that's not 100%.
All right, awesome. So but pretty close. And
pretty darn close.
You're a nobody, not doing anything, and you got those systems. You got your antivirus, VPN, and Tor.
Yeah, if
and you don't go to stupid places.
If you got your antivirus, you're running a VPN, and you're using Tor, you're fairly anonymous online. You're almost completely anonymous. You're not totally anonymous, but for your average person, yes.
So recently, a Nigerian prince emailed me, and I opened it and wanted some money, and I transferred it back and stuff. And I think he's good. He's coming to the U.S. soon. He's got a great business opportunity. Yeah. No, talk to me about email stuff.
So that's a great example. So this is another thing too: is the Nigerian prince scam. Right? We all like to laugh at that because it's funny. It's obviously a scam, but it's obvious to us that is intentional. And a lot of people don't realize that. They're intentionally misspelling words and writing things in broken English is sort of a screening mechanism because the type of person who would fall for a scam like that wouldn't see that.
Gotcha.
So we laugh at it as a joke. Like, who would fall for that? Well, people do fall for it.
Gotcha. Oh, awesome.
It's a lot more sophisticated than you think.
Oh, okay. Cool. Let's see. In public places, it'll ask me work, public place, or trusted place, or home.
I always choose public place because what that does is that throws up more restrictive filters on your firewall, which is a good thing. It can be problematic with some programs depending on what you're running. But for the most part, I like to treat everything as untrusted or semi-trusted. Okay. And I'll give you an example of this that you can use in your everyday life. Is if you've ever logged into, say, your banking website. I know I pick on banks all the time, but I'm just going to use that as an example. And it says, we've never seen you before. Would you like to receive a text message or an email with an unlock code to get access to your account? What they're doing, that's called step-up authentication or a risk-based authentication. They don't recognize where you're coming from. You could be a threat, so they're going to ask for something a little bit more to prove that you're you. I always, and when you enter that code, it'll ask, would you like us to remember this device? Always choose no. Always get that email, always get that code, and always put it in. Every chance you can.
Select do not remember device.
Do not remember your device and empty your cookies out every chance you can.
And you should go into your internet or browser and ensure that it deletes everything.
Clear your history, clear your cookies, clear all that. So if you're using Tor, you don't have to worry about that. It automatically does it when you close down.
Okay. All right, cool. What else?
So a lot of people are concerned about the Equifax breach, which is in the news lately, which is a very significant breach. It is a big deal. They have a website that you can go to where you can determine whether or not you were affected by the breach. Chances are you are. Don't go to you can go to the website and punch it in, but depending on the time of day, you might get a different answer. It's very clunky. Just assume that you are affected. Okay. If you are inclined, if you're not the type of person who monitors their credit report very closely, you might want to consider locking your credit. Most of those credit bureaus will do that for free now, especially after the Equifax breach, or they'll charge you like $5 or something to do that. If you do that, keep in mind you can't take out a loan, you can't, apply for a new credit card. So if you have any of that sort of financial decisions in your future, that might be a consideration for you. But I generally advise after the Equifax breach, it's a good idea to lock your credit.
Gotcha. Okay.
You did that, right?
No. Crap. Are they going to do it?
They are now.
I mean, yes.
Yeah. Of course I did.
Sure, yeah. From the tour of the VPN.
The tour of the VPN.
I've actually been using Tor for years. Search engines, what should I use?
DuckDuckGo is a good one.
I use DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, cool. DuckDuckGo is a very, it's anonymous. You can use Google. Obviously, you're going to be tracked with Google.
So, how are you tracked, and what are they gathering on you, and why should we care?
Well, they're gathering mostly demographic information. They do that for their ads program. Google makes money off of advertisements.
Was it you that told me the story about the gal that was pregnant?
Yeah, that was me.
Tell them that story. That's funny.
All right. So this is a case of how
you didn't tell that last time, did you?
I did tell that last time.
Well, don't tell it again.
Okay.
Well, you told it on the last video.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you don't tell it on the same
link
video.
In the description. I've always wanted to say that.
Link in the description. There you go. Let's go something else.
Okay.
All right. So last time we hung out, we were in Wisconsin. We were shooting together. Him and his kind of band of warrior poet brothers had a really good time training. We were sitting around a campfire, and he was telling his war stories. And usually, I'm the guy that's telling war stories. He had war stories of a different kind, and man, they're just riveting. And it was, fun stuff. But give him a war story, man.
Sure, I'd love to. One of my favorites was the time that I almost had to deliver a baby as a result of my job. If you can believe that.
After he says something like that, that's his intro. I haven't heard this story. There's this long pause, and you're just kind of like,
how?
What the? The computer made you do this?
No.
All right.
So there's a dimension to cybersecurity that is in the physical world too. We call it physical penetration testing. It's literally breaking and entering, if you will. So like things like lock picking, physical bypass, all that sort of thing. Social engineering is another thing
that stuff's really fascinating. Yeah,
that was actually my specialty.
Yeah,
was social engineering and physical penetration testing.
Fun war stories regarding that.
Oh yes,
some of those penetration tests, fun. But let's not derail you. Go ahead.
Okay, so we were pen testing. It was a hospital, and I focus on healthcare. That's my in financial services, but we were pen testing a hospital, and you know how hospitals have those large double doors. Mm-hmm. That kind of open, and there's usually, if you come in from the right angle or the right side of the doors, they just open automatically.
Sure.
Most of those sensors operate off of a temperature differential, and they're not very intelligent. So it doesn't matter if it's a hot thing coming towards the door or even going away from the door, or a cold thing. You could throw a block of ice at the thing and it would open. As long as there's a temperature differential, you can make those doors open. So what we did to gain entry into a restricted part of the hospital was to take one of those canned air cans, and you turn it upside down, it gets real cold. Yeah. You just fish the little nozzle through the door and you spray that, and the sensor reads that as a temperature differential and opens the door. Yeah. So we get into the door, immediately ran to the first place that had a lab coat that fit me, which was actually pretty hard to find. I'm not exactly a small person, and I think it was it really was more like a shirt. It was like fat guy in a little coat kind of thing.
Yeah. Great.
And I had an intern with me, no less, at the time that was trying to learn the ropes, and he was actually a student at the school where this hospital was.
Yeah.
So I put this thing on, and it was an OBGYN lab coat. It had somebody's name on it that didn't sound like a female name. It was close enough, good enough. And our objective, when you're doing physical penetration testing, there's usually an objective: get access to a room, get access to a floor, get access to something. They want you to accomplish something. And we had this specific objective of getting access to floor 3. And we didn't know what it was. We just knew we had to get there. And that was one step closer to floor 3. So we get into the elevator, and it's key coded. You have to punch in a key to get to any floor in the hospital because it's a sensitive area. And I noticed that 4 digits on the keypad had been worn down because they haven't changed the code in probably 10 years or so. So I just start trying every combination of those numbers, and a nurse comes in and sees me in the lab coat trying to punch in the numbers. She says, "Oh, I forget that all the time." So she punched it in, and we get on
like
on
you
the third
said,
floor.
The human element.
The human element is the weakest part of that, yeah. So we get to the 3rd floor, the doors open up, everyone's in scrubs, and they've got their masks on and the hairnets and everything. We walk off, and we're basically right off the street, and it was like you could hear the needle scratch the record. And everyone turned and looked at us at the same time, and I thought, oh, we're busted. Yeah. This is it. And we usually carry something called a get out of jail free card. It's a letter from whoever hired us to come in and do this sort of thing. And I was reaching in my pocket to grab it because I was sure this was it. Because it was an operating room floor, and we weren't supposed to be there. And a nurse runs over there, runs right up to me, grabs me by the arm, and says, "We have to get you ready." And she starts trying to usher me into the scrub room, and I didn't know what to do. I mean,
you're ready, man. You got to deliver that baby.
Yeah, so I looked over at the intern and I said, "Cheese it!" And we ran out the exit door as fast as we could and went back. No, but here's the thing: no one ever reported that.
Oh, wow.
That was completely unreported. We mentioned that to the executive that hired us to do that. And he was more upset that they didn't report that a strange person ran just booked it towards the exit on an ER floor, thinking that we were surgeons or an OBGYN crew. I mean, it's surprising sometimes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Train hard, train smart, and stay safe online. How about that?
If you can.
I didn't really think about that exit. It worked out okay. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. See you guys. The Chinese, they are clever. You can have a friend.
Seriously.
It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous.
You've got a Matrix desktop background on a TV.
I don't even see the code anymore. I just see blonde, brunette.
So you've got a Matrix background on a TV. Okay. This is hard. Okay.
Troy, come on in. Got these guys on the run. Chinese, they are tricky.
You're attacking the Chinese with a Word document?
It's pages.
Oh.
This is how it's done. This is how we do it in the cyber undernet.
By typing gobbledygook
Sphere.
into pages?
It's not. This is shellcode stuff for the.
You literally wrote shellcode stuff for Panda Thingy with no spaces.
This is where deep code originates.
Deep code, okay.
Deep code.
Yeah, that's not a thing, dude.
It's deeper than you know.
Okay.
All right, out one more time.
All right,
We can't laugh. We
no
can't
more
laugh.
laughing. No more
All right.
laughing.